We good? Good morning, everybody. It's 9 o'clock, and we're going to get going. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, gentlemen, first thing we have are our minutes from our last meeting. Any additions or corrections?
No. I move we approve the minutes of the January 26, 2022 meeting, the Board of County Commissioners of Montezuma County.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to accept the proceedings of the Board of Commissioners, Montezuma County for July 26, 2022. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, first thing we have up is planning. And we have a public hearing. So, Kim, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Candelaria.
Here.
Commissioner Lindsay.
Here.
Commissioner Copenhaver.
Here.
Administrator Anderson.
Here.
Attorney McLaren.
Here.
Kim Purcell, Montezuma County Clerk and Recorder. Notice is hereby given that the Montezuma County Board of County Commissioners will hold a public hearing for review and determination of a proposed single-lot development and AR 10-34 rezoning application submitted by Jason and Billie Ann Saulan on property located at 23971 Road N, Cortez, Colorado, consisting of 70.16 acres, more or less, located east of Highway 491, north of Road N, situated in Section 4, Township 36 North, Range 16 West, N.M.P.M. The hearing will be held Tuesday, August 2nd, 2022 at 9 a.m. in the Commissioners' Hearing Room, Montezuma County Administrative Offices, 109 West Main, Cortez, Colorado. Interested persons may attend and give input. Information may be obtained from the Planning Office online services at https://co-montezuma-co.smartgovcommunity.com, public home. You may also contact the Planning Department at 970-565-2801 with questions. Dated the 18th day of July, 2022, Kim Purcell, Clerk, Board of County Commissioners, Montezuma County, Colorado, published in the Journal on Wednesday, July 20th, 2022.
All right, thank you, Kim. Okay, Don,
Come on up, Jason.
give us an overview.
I have the applicant here. So the Saulans are proposing to split off 11 acres in the existing residence from the other 60 acres of ag land. They've obtained a 60-foot easement agreement there on the west through the other neighbor's property that will give full access to the ag property. So it's just a single lot development with existing utilities, residents to remain. There is a tri-state line that runs there, so they have obtained or issued, I guess, tri-state an easement along their east property line. So that has been signed on the Mylar as well. And that's basically it.
So that's a different ownership, that property where the 60-foot easement is at?
Correct.
Okay, so the 11 acres is part of that kind of?
Right, that's part of the Saulans property with the residents.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I was looking at that map earlier, and originally it must have been a rectangle piece of property, and then it was
Right, the southwest corner got cut
Yeah.
out, and then,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay, would you like to add anything?
I don't have any comments, sir.
Okay. All right. Commissioners, anything else before I open it up for a public
This is
hearing?
pretty straightforward.
Okay. Well, then I will open this up for public comment. Anyone wishing to speak for or against this application, please come forward, state your name and address for the record, and you may address the board at this time. Okay, seeing no public comment, I'll close the public comment session, and I will bring this back to the commissioners. Planning and zoning's recommendations?
They were unanimous to recommend it for approval.
Okay.
I move to approve this single lot development and AR 10-34 rezoning application submitted by Jason and Billie Ann Saulan on property located at 23971 County Road N in Cortez.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the proposed single lot development and AR 10 through 34 rezoning applications submitted by Jason and Billie Ann Saulan on property located at 23971 Road N, Cortez, Colorado, consisting of 70.16 acres more or less. Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I will close this public hearing. There you go, sir.
Thank you.
Yep.
We also have the Mylar for this subdivision to be signed along with 4 other Mylars and a special use permit. So
Okay, well,
whenever you're ready to hop down and sign, we got them ready.
start rolling them out.
target on my chest. Yeah. Probably be good if it was just darts.
You can keep that under your pillow.
They have goodies for you. Lots of goodies.
That's one of those things don't open up.
There she is.
Well, you gotta think ahead,
Just tell her to come by the office.
because I was in a wheelchair when I was in commissioner. I fell off my wall.
Anything else?
That's all we got for now, unless you got questions.
Now, the only question I had, we were just somewhat discussing it, and I asked you, see what you can do to follow up on the loves, because we are
I
seeing
will.
some activity down there, which is great, so would like to just get it out
Okay.
to the public for, what the progress is, and maybe some timeframes of completion, or, I don't know if they have that yet, but,
Right.
something, it's been going on a long time.
I will check with them and let you know.
Okay,
Perfect. Thanks.
all right, thank you, guys. All right. Next, we have our public comment session. The Board of Montezuma County Commissioners welcomes you to this meeting. Persons speaking during public comment will be limited to 3 minutes, or depending on the number of people wishing to speak, it may be reduced to allow all members of the public the opportunity to address the board. When addressing the board, please state your name and address for the record prior to providing your comments, and comments to individual supervisors or staff are not permitted. Participants may not yield their time, and with that, the public comment session is open.
Dexter, you got anything? Because you're the only public here.
Okay. Seeing no public comment, we're going to close the public comment session. We're going to move right straight on. And first, we have our sheriff, and we have a discussion on our fire ban.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
In light of the increased amount of moisture that we've gotten, we've been very fortunate that the lightning strikes that came with the lightning thunderstorms that we've had over the past month have really amounted to either single trees or 1 to 1.5 acres, not much. We've been pretty fortunate with that. We're getting more moisture, and we have a lot more that is expected to come this weekend through into next week. So, in speaking with the fire districts, they all understand and they're on board with it. Most of the northern part of the county has been wet for a long time. Even Pleasant View out in that area has received quite a bit of moisture, so they're on board. I know that Cortez wants to be cautious about it, understand that, but they're okay with lifting this fire ban at this time. I think that would be the best thing because we're starting to get more and more calls for people wanting to burn because things are wet. So if we go back to the ordinance and we follow that guideline, we should be okay. So it's up to you, but that's my request and recommendation that we lift this fire ban.
And I would agree. I think we've got
Yeah.
plenty of moisture now to get it done. Obviously, if it changes in the next 30, 45 days, we can reinstate it.
Yeah.
Okay, I move we adopt Resolution 8, suspension of the ban on open fire and use of fireworks. The resolution reads, whereas Montezuma County Ordinance Number 2-2015, prohibits open fires and the use of fireworks in unincorporated areas of Montezuma County, except the Montezuma County Board, County Commissioners, based on competent evidence, may by resolution suspend said ban from time to time to the degree and manner consistent with existing wildfire dangers. And whereas competent evidence has been presented of sufficient moisture throughout Montezuma County, temporarily reducing existing wildfire dangers to more normal conditions. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Montezuma County Board of County Commission that the ban on open fires and use of fireworks is hereby suspended. The suspension shall continue in effect until canceled pursuant to Montezuma County Ordinance 2-2015.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept resolution number 8, suspension of the ban on open fires and use of fireworks. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Anything else for us?
That's it. Thank you. Do you have anything for me while I'm here? That's all. No?
You've been busy.
Yes, and it's extremely busy. So I do appreciate you and the county administrator getting me in this morning for this. Yeah, that's, when you're trying to plan things on every Tuesday and then things are happening, it's like, well, I better get this done. So, but I appreciate everybody's help with
Yeah.
that. Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Okay, next we have Jerry Frizzell. We have a special event liquor license. Good morning.
So I have a special event permit. It is now. For DENKIA Animal Sanctuary, as they are located at 22633 Road 17.6 is their mailing address. The place for the special event's gonna be at the fairgrounds at 30100 US 160 in Cortez. And it is for September 4th from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. They have met they have a letter where they've paid everything from Montezuma County Fairs. They have agreement with them. I'm supposed to be picking up a letter for you guys, for these guys, given the permission to use the fairgrounds facilities.
So this is pretty much just like the rodeo events that we do out there, the beer tent, although they move around in that fenced up area. It's
Yeah.
just on that southwest, or I guess it
Yeah,
would be
she's got
the
it Yeah, just over here on this side, the only place they're gonna be selling.
Yeah,
Yes.
southwest side.
Yep,
Okay,
and they've met all the requirements for everything, so.
all right. Questions, gentlemen?
I don't have any.
Gerald, we have it.
I got this is just a fundraiser for her,
Yeah, for the
Yeah,
animal
just a
sanctuary.
fundraiser,
for
yes.
her animal sanctuary. Yeah.
I think the bigger thing to, well, go ahead, Commissioner, sorry.
No, that's all right.
I was gonna say, I think, looking at it from what we had in our packet, reading it, it's a fundraiser for the animal sanctuary, but they're planning a concert out there, is kinda how that's, for that date, so, just so that the public is hearing that there's actually a concert out there along with this event for the,
Yeah, I think they said they've got like 4 bands scheduled to be out there. And they have a manager who's taking care of all the arrangements, and they have security and everything planned out for there too.
okay, yep, all right.
I move to approve this liquor, how do you want to put this, to
Special
serve,
event.
a special event to serve alcohol at the Montezuma County Fairgrounds located at 3100 US 160 Cortez on September 4th from 5 to 11 p.m. for the DENKAJ Animal Sanctuary.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the application for a special events permit to Denkai Animal Sanctuary located at 22633 Road 17.6 Yellow Jacket. And the event will be held at the Fairgrounds 3100 US 160 on date September 4th from 5 to 9?
5 to 11.
5 to 11. Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 You want this one?
This one's signed by Travis, so I think that's good.
Gotcha, yeah, okay. Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you, Jerry.
Thank you.
All right. Moving right along, our CIP program, Mr. Spratlin, you have a grant award.
This thing's blinking. Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Called on.
Morning, Miss Kim. Ian. Boss. Oh, okay. I think everybody in the Zoom land can probably hear me with this voice I have. So, thanks for letting me come in quickly on your wonderful day of Tuesday, signing a lot of things. We have a grant before you. I gave you some paperwork. This is the letter that was sent to us from the Procurement Division of Colorado. I'm pretty sure this is a federal funding that goes through the state, and they have given us a notice of intent, and it's the Behavioral Health Safety Net Grant. And according, right now, I'm not absolutely sure the amount that they're giving us, other than what we applied for. So in your packet, our application was $386,014. So I'm going to assume it's going to be in that range. What I did find out was, of course, they've given us quite a bit of money. This started July 1st of this year, and will go to the 30th of June. So we're good to go, and with the funding that we have now, we need that funding that we're utilizing now to help pay for maintenance on vehicles and repair and maintenance, vehicle expenses, travel time, dues, training, et cetera. And then my understanding is there is a little bit of match, so the items that they're not going to pay for, we'll continue to match as well. So kind of pretty excited we got the grant, and it goes through social services. So they'll be handling it, they'll be grant managing this grant. So it won't be on the burden of the county finance officer, it'll go straight through Lori. So sure of that so far. I'm waiting for a call back from the state so we can start organizing this thing, but mainly it'll be for a community intervention program. So we got it.
Very good.
We just got to keep going and find more.
So, so for the first year, our community intervention program, our budget was, do you remember, like four and a quarter? Off the top of my head, does that sound right?
Our budget?
426?
408,285.
So you almost have another full year right there.
Yes, except
If we're successful with,
yes, yes.
Yeah.
And the budget, well, actually, while we're here, the budget that I'm predicting for next year will be 387,840. That just includes a little salary increase for the people that are working pretty hard out there, kind of like a cost of living increase, and then just some of the M&A that goes with it. So with that, and then it ends in June 30th, we'll continue if the board deems it's okay when we go to the budget hearing to roll over the funds that we have and continue with that, and that'll assist us for that whole year. And then we also have a congressional
direct spending.
direct spending bill that Hickenlooper has been gracious enough to put our name, Montezuma County, in that bill with 361,000. So it's still a long ways from being completely voted on, but it's in there now in Congress, my understanding. So we're working it. We'll see what comes up, and then we'll have to figure out what we're doing with all the funding. And that other funding from Congress, it's possible it's not just for 1 year. It could be for 2 years. So we'll have some funding that will continue on. So moving ahead. So all I request is the board accept this grant and put it in the social services kitty. I guess that's not the official word, but.
Right.
Questions, gentlemen?
I don't have any.
Okay. What's your pleasure?
Move, is there a grant number on there?
Yeah, right here.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I got it. Move we accept the State of Colorado grant for expansion of behavioral health safety net grant program, RFA and RFP IHJA 2022000339.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept and sign the grant from the State of Colorado Expansion of Behavioral Health Safety Net Grant Program, RFP IHJA 2022-339, in the potential amount of $386,014. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. I don't have a signature page here, but that may come in DocuSign.
Yeah,
Okay,
we'll get you one.
all right,
Thanks, gentlemen.
Perfect.
That's it.
all right.
Thank you, sir.
Next up is Bonnie Loving with our noxious weeds. What's that? Rob's way down the line in unfinished business. Poor planning on your part does not constitute an emergency on
He was
mine.
going off the list.
Morning, guys.
Morning.
Good morning.
You like these pictures? Okay, so today I'm doing something kind of different. I've been working on an economic assessment for the past year or so. So I just kind of wanted to give you some numbers about that. So why care about noxious weeds? What weed is in this picture? Travis Anderson.
Bunch of weeds.
Well, it looks like white top, but I can't tell.
Negative.
And then there's a thistle
There's
over
some
to the
thistle
left.
out there.
Thistle,
There's
Canada
some,
thistle.
I know
Okay.
the name.
Good job.
Spurgey leaf?
No.
Leafy spurge.
Oh,
Spurge. No,
leafy
this
spurge.
is
No.
Canada thistle.
No, that's not leafy spurge.
All
All
right,
I can
took
tell
it-
it's white.
Yeah, it bloomed and it's like cotton. Okay, next.
Cows eat it.
Okay, so just
Mhm.
some
Horse
review
eating.
for maybe folks in YouTube land. The Department of Agriculture defines noxious weeds as any non-native plant that can directly or indirectly injure or cause damage to crops, including nursery stock or plant products, livestock, poultry, or other interests of agriculture, irrigation, navigation, the natural resources of the United States, the public health, or the environment. On the left, it's hard to see, that's Russian knapweed. Russian knapweed is toxic to the horse family. It causes chewing disease. It paralyzes their mouth muscles so they can't swallow. This is one of the horses that ate too much Russian knapweed, and they essentially starved to death and die of dehydration because they can't swallow. Irreversible. On the right, that's my puppy Athena, up on Minkus Hill when the Weber fire hit just the year after. That's all musk thistle. Next. Okay, so what is the economic impact of noxious weeds? There haven't been any economic assessments recently done, and I don't even really think that there's been one done in Colorado before. There's been several in Montana, Idaho, and some other states, but here's some outcomes of some other studies. In 1996, they did a economic study of knapweed populations in Montana on the rangeland, and they estimated that they were losing $14 million annually. This was in 1996, so obviously economics are very different. That price is probably much more significant. In 2000, the Oregon Department of Agriculture estimated that $83.5 million is lost annually in personal income due to 25 noxious weed species. The equivalent loss is 1,900 jobs in the private sector. If left unchecked, there's a potential annual loss of $1.8 billion in personal income, which equates to 40,800 jobs. In 2005, there was another estimate that we're losing $137 billion annually in the United States because of noxious weeds. Okay, so in Montezuma County, we have 36 known species of noxious weeds. Let's see. This is just kind of telling you how many noxious weed species occupy how many acres. So we have 6 species that are under 1 acre in size, so we have a good chance of eradicating those, and that's what we're working on. 7 species are 1 to 150 acres. About 8 species are 150 to 500 acres in size. 2 species, 500 to 1,000. And then we have 13 species that are over 1,000 acres in Montezuma County. Next. So I've been mapping. I know you can't see that very well, but these are individual populations for each species, how much they occupy within Montezuma County. The biggest is obviously downy brome, which is cheatgrass. Okay, so what we did, we're only using, for these economic assessments, we're only using data for Canada thistle, Dalmatian toadflax, downy brome, hoary cress, musk thistle, Russian knapweed, Russian olive, salt cedar, and jointed goatgrass. Doug and I took the USDA data that has land type. It's like an algorithm that tells you how many acres are in corn in Montezuma County, how many acres are rangeland, how many acres are forest. So we converted that into shape files so we can overlay my noxious weed inventory with this land type, saying that, oh, we have 100 acres infesting cornfields. So that was the first step to this economic assessment that I did. So how much money is Montezuma County losing from decreased crop yield and crop quality? So my first economic assessment was extremely complex. I had two different data sets, one from 2015 to 2020, and then one from 2019 to 2020 to compare, because we're reducing significant amounts of noxious weeds. But I did a peer review, and the NRCS economists suggested that I just use one data type. And you can reference my actual reports if you want to know where all these numbers come from, but it is very detailed and complex. But so you can go through this. This is how many acres are infested in each cropland within Montezuma County. And then we went through a bunch of studies to see the crop yield loss that's typical with noxious weed infestations. We then went and took the average cost per unit from the USDA to see what people are getting, and then if it is infested, like alfalfa, if you have a bale of alfalfa with noxious weeds, yes, you can still sell it. It's lowering your yield, so you won't get as many bales, but you're not going to be paying as much for weedy alfalfa compared to straight alfalfa. So there's a product reduced lower price from lower quality. So you can refer again to my actual report, but these are just the numbers that came out of that. The total loss in Montezuma County from crop yield loss and lower quality is $1.9 million a year. Okay, so as far as rangeland, we have 22,870 acres of our rangeland infested with noxious weeds. How I did this was, typically our rangeland is used for grazing, right? And so if we have lower amount of grass to feed these cows, more than likely you're going to have to offset that with the cost of hay. And so I took, CSU has a really cool app that has another algorithm to, the USDA did this soil analysis where you can go on the mapping system and point to a specific area and it will tell you what soils you have. Well, this CSU app piggybacks off of that, and it will tell you what vegetation will typically grow in this area and how many AMUs that area will produce. So I used that to see the difference between how much land will produce in our rangeland with and without weeds, and how much that land will be able to sustain cows with weeds compared to without weeds. And so the cost of hay needing to offset, for the cows and loss of vegetation comes to $131,000, $447 per year.
Did they test the soils?
The USDA, I'm
it's
sure
funny.
they came around and did different plots and did the testing. It's a really cool website that you go to, and yeah, it knows all of our different soil types. I don't know exactly how or when they did it, but it was a long project and it's very valuable. Okay, so how can we put an economic impact of noxious weeds on the forest? Well, I mean, there's so many variables that can go into an economic assessment that I'm not going to be able to completely evaluate. So I'm just doing the basic stuff. But there's recreational impacts, there's hunting impacts, wildlife enthusiasts, bird watching, aesthetically. There's so many impacts that will cost us money if we're losing those from noxious weeds. So what I did for the forest is I did the impact on hunting. And it's kind of the same thing as I did rangeland. How many cows can the land support with weeds compared to without weeds? Well, the same thing I used for supporting deer. How many deer can be sustained on the land with and without weeds? And then I took a bunch of different data from the Parks and Wildlife to see how much revenue we're getting from hunters in Colorado, and what's the average hunter tags compared to how many are populations of deer. So it's pretty complex. In conclusion, I calculated that we're losing about $97,000 a year in hunting costs in Montezuma County. That's the next slide. So there's all these tables and you can go through them, but, so 97,000. Okay, so next, economic impact of water loss due to non-native Fratiphates. This is so complex. So we have 7,800 acres of Russian olives and salt cedars. 33% of these areas, these two species coexist, so they're growing in the same area. Montezuma County has calculated the water loss being 11,544 acre feet per year. So how much money is actually, how much water is actually solvable after removing these species? So if we're saving 100 acre feet of water, that doesn't mean that we can use that 100 acre feet of water to irrigate. It's very complex. It depends what vegetation is going in that area once we remove them. So if it's just solid salt cedar and there's no other vegetation, we remove those salt cedar, we have to put something back in that area. And how much water is that going to consume? And then we have to deduct how much water the Fratiphates are consuming compared to the new vegetation. So it gets very complex, and there's not going to be a study that'll give you an answer for that because there's so many different variables. If you're actually trying to measure this on a test site, you have to have consistent weather, you have to have consistent water levels, you have to have consistent vegetation that's going into these areas. So it's going to be impossible to calculate. Just for this assessment, I just said, hey, maybe we can salvage 20% of the water that was being consumed by these Fratiphates. This results in a savings of 2,300 acre feet of water per year. So how do we quantify the economics benefit of water? In that, it's very complex. MVIC auctioned a share of water in March of 2022 for $7,500. One share of water gives 3 to 4 acre feet of water per year, depending on the year and how much water they have. So I doubt that any new shares are going to be created with the savings of this water. I'm assuming that they would the allocation per share would increase because we're already cut because of the drought. And then you have user fees of MVIC. It's $310 per account plus $33 a share. Again, I don't think these numbers are going to really change in addition to water. But I think maybe the best way to quantify the economic impact of how many acres we can irrigate with an additional 2,300 acre feet of land. In order to do this, we would have to get expenses of dryland farming compared to irrigation farming, and that's very complex, and I don't have any of those numbers. So what I did was, this land was probably rangeland at one point. So if we convert this land from Fratiphates back to rangeland, how many more cattle can it support? Just like what I did with the rangeland estimates before. So if we're using those numbers, we're probably looking at $1.1 million annually that we could benefit from salvaging that water from the Fratiphates. Does that make sense? It's very complicated, but I just wanted to get some numbers to see what we're dealing with in Montezuma County. Okay, impacts of developed and barren land. I didn't get values for this. Back in the day, we talked about land values based off the acreage and how many AMU, how much vegetation that land can produce. These days, it's not really based on that. The realtors don't really look at the condition of the land, so I can't really give you an estimate of land value loss for that. I gave you those cases from leafy spurge. There's not many documented cases that I can find for land value, but personally, if I was going to buy 20 acres and it was infested with Russian knapweed, I know it's going to cost significant amount of money to return that to something that I can use. So I'm going to decrease the asking selling price because I know that I'm going to have to improve that cost of the land. But a lot of landowners these days, they don't realize that. Okay, so in conclusion, the results of this economic impact from noxious weeds, I did not include the water on this chart because, I was just kind of pulling the 20% salvageable water. I think more research can go into that. But as far as yield losses on crops, the rangeland, the forest, Montezuma County is losing about $3 million annually from noxious weeds. Okay, so the conclusion, this is just a section of the quantifiable aspects of noxious weed impacts. The purpose I did this was I want to make it known that noxious weeds are severely impacting our land and our economics. I have no data for recreation, aesthetics, land values, wildlife values, infrastructure. Like, we're having to spend a lot of money managing the roadsides because the weeds creep in the road and start breaking the road. It causes drainage issues. Sometimes people are building houses on top of knapweed, and the knapweed is growing inside of their foundation. So that's causing damages, but I don't have any any costs associated with that. Also, increased fire potential. If we have 16,000 acres of cheatgrass, that's increasing your fire frequency to, I think it was like 5 years. I think it increases it to every 5 years it'll burn or something like that, the research studies say. So what costs can you correlate with fire hazards with the increased fire potential for noxious weeds? I'm sure that's significant as well. Okay, next, here's some pictures of weeds in Montezuma County that I've taken, just so you can see the severe impact that we're dealing with. That was Canada thistle. This is Canada thistle. Musk thistle, this was north of Dolores. Hoary cress, white top.
That's what I was looking for, that word.
Yeah. Canada thistle. Russian knapweed. Russian olives. Canada thistle. Hoary cress. Musk thistle. All kinds of stuff.
What kind of thistle's that?
Yeah, common mullein, musk thistle, Canada thistle, hound's tongue, all kinds of stuff.
I was talking about the one in the seat.
Oh, yeah, he's something. Is that the last one? Okay. So I can send you my full report if you want to read it. It is complex, but I give the steps of every single thing I do to get these numbers.
So, can we post that so that other people can see that? I mean, do you have it posted somewhere that, because there's a lot of stuff, obviously, just looking through this slide.
Yeah,
it's
and
hard
I
to-
sent it for peer review, and the only person that really responded was an economist from NRCS, and he helped me so much in making this report. But a lot of people, I've asked the CDA, I'm like, I think it's really important that we kind of get an understanding of the impact of noxious weeds, but they haven't really put any effort into coming up with something. So I felt personally responsible to do something so people can understand. So I made it clear that I was writing this report. It wasn't on behalf of the department, my department, because I'm not an economist. But these are some good, accurate numbers that we can give to the public so they understand the impact.
So I'd be curious, the data that you used in the late 90s and the early 2000s, that's 22 years ago.
Mhm.
That data has changed significantly.
Yep.
There's nothing that's more current than
Nope.
that? 2005 was your earliest
Yep,
date?
there's really nothing out there. It's like, I feel like they realized how big of an impact noxious weeds were in the 1900s, and they were doing so much research studies proving it, and they proved it. They proved it that we really need to take this seriously. And I think another generation came around and everything just shifted, and they didn't feel like they needed to reprove themselves. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
But I think it's necessary as time moves to keep tracking those noxious weed populations as well as seeing the economic impact
Well,
over
because those
time.
numbers could shift. If we're
Mhm.
doing a better job of taking care of them, I mean, it may show that, you know, they're not as bad as they were in the early 2000s.
Yep. For sure.
Hopefully they're not as bad.
No, our numbers are great, and I'm doing like really detailed mapping of the county this year, so we can see what our numbers are looking like over time. But I'll tell you, the musk thistle, the Canada thistle, the Russian knapweed, they're down 40% from when I started. So we've been working really hard, and we're seeing huge improvements, which is great.
Okay. How are your machines working?
As long as we don't
Last
get them
time-
stuck, they're working great.
Last time you were in here, you had issues with,
Yeah, so we've had different mechanics come out, and they would give us different stories, but finally one realized that one of the belt adjustments was off, and they corrected that belt adjustment, and we haven't had any overheating issues.
Don't lose his name.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's been working great. And we're treating sprouts right now and excavating at the same time. So the crew's doing wonderful. They go above and beyond. The landowners love them. So the crew's doing a really good job.
where are they at right now?
One of my guys is behind the fun center on McElmo Creek. So we're gonna take it from 160 all the way to 27. So we've done a lot of that, but we have the rest of the landowners who are on board now, so we're completing that whole track. And then my next goal would be taking 27 all the way down to 491, 160. Because we've been doing a lot of work over there. I kind of want to implement a burn plan, because the Hawkins fire, it did amazing. Like, we can actually get in there and spray sprouts now. Before, it was so thick, you would have to go down there and hand cut it out before you can start the reclamation process. So I've been working with Matt Sheether to come up with a burn plan. Right now, it's kind of sensitive because all those prescribed burns got loose last year. So we're kind of taking our time doing that. But I think that would be the most efficient and feasible option for that section. Because it's super thick down there, and it would take a lot of man hours to go cut it all down. And then you'd have to try to, because it's so steep, you don't want to pile it and burn it down there. You'd have to try to lift it out of there, and the machine can't really get in there in a lot of those areas. So that's my plan, Stan.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Thank
I
you.
feel like I
good.
talked a lot. Rob, do you like that? Yeah?
All right, thanks, Bonnie. Mel? All right, Bonnie's machine is working. How is your machine working?
You don't want to know. So we can start off with that. So the old BOMAG, we had the injectors replaced in it. The good ones, I think he said there was 2, we kept as spares in case we have another issue. They run the machine Saturday, it ran for an hour and it's down again,
The old BOMAG.
the old BOMAG. So he's, our foreman, Gary Nelson's gonna be in touch with him this morning to see what the issue is. It pulled some codes. I don't know anything yet on that. The other issue we have, this came up about a week or so ago. Our new operator, who's pretty familiar with dozers, Eric Lanyon, some of you may know him. Anyway, he found an issue with our dozer. None of us knew about it, even back when Shaq was there. Nobody knew about it. There's a bushing under there that's wore out. To replace that bushing, they gotta take the undercarriage off. If we don't get it fixed, then it's gonna get into the frame of the dozer and have to be rebuilt. So we're about 40% they're estimating on our undercarriage, and right now they came out and did the measurements, and we're waiting on an estimate on fixing just the bushing or doing the whole undercarriage at the same time, and I should have that within a week. Had no idea that was coming up. That's gonna be an expensive repair. But that dozer's in too good a shape not to do it. It's basically got a new motor in it. new transmission, all that stuff's been done in the last 4 years. So I'll have those figures for you as soon as I get them. That's done. You guys, last time we were here, we did, the green waste as long as the fire ban was on. And we just lifted the fire ban. If it's all right with you guys, I'd like to keep taking the free green waste.
I have no
I-
problem with that.
no, I don't
mean,
either.
it's accumulating out there, for what I see, at a pretty good rate.
Yeah,
But it's not being brought to landfill, it's still out, in the county, but.
I'd like to keep taking it. We're getting some in. There's 5 or 6 pickups a day that come in with some in the back. But everything that we shredded this year, we're gonna use. We're not gonna have
Sure.
any to sell.
You don't have any,
We're
you
not-
don't
we've
have
already
any,
told people
we're
not
working
to
on
sell.
getting you some
I know.
extra.
In fact, I'm going to talk to Jim as soon as we're done here.
We're working on it.
Yeah.
We
But
may have to
anyway, if we
include
can-
Rob in this conversation sooner than later too, but he probably doesn't want to hear that.
If we can just keep taking it, we're gonna need it. We're just gonna need it. So we'll keep going on that.
I don't, commissioners, you have any issues with just
No,
continuing that?
Clean green waste, compost.
It's helping
room.
everybody,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
I mean, we're losing a little bit of revenue, from it, but I think the benefits for us and the community outweigh what little bit of revenue we're gonna lose.
Okay.
So, paper products, here we're back in the holding pattern again on paper products. All the mills are full and we're starting to stockpile it again. Don't know what the prices are gonna be. He estimates they're gonna go down, but we'll see. Let's see, on the budget, if you will look.
Can you rotate that, Travis?
So far this year, this is the end of June. Can you rotate that?
I would, but it appears I have to pay to do so.
Okay, I'll just tell you. So far this year, mattresses alone, we brought in 16,000.
Where's the rate that keeps coming?
And that's with the current rate,
And the previous rate, because it was at 10 there for a while,
right?
but we raised the price.
Yeah.
So far this year, just in cardboard, we've brought in 57,000 in revenue. Deduct out of that all the credits. We paid out 30,000 in credits to the people bringing it in to us in the bulk, the city, Four Corners Recycling, stuff like that. So there's a decent profit in that. Shipped out a load of number 1 plastics 2 weeks ago. Haven't got paid for that yet. And last week, we got inspected again by CDPHE on our tires. And they're very pleased with what we're doing down there. Said we've exceeded their expectations. So
Good.
that was good. They're happy that we worked with them on the Forest Service and the McPhee cleanup. And we are now working with Williams Brothers on some cleanups in the county that they're bringing to the landfill. So that's all I've got for today.
Okay, question?
No. Appreciate
I'll
it.
look into that deal that you asked me about on those solar panels
Okay.
and have some information for you before I come back to the next meeting. If I get some information on that dozer and stuff, I may have Mr. Anderson put me on the agenda for a week or so down the road and
Okay.
have some figures for you on that. The other issue is you'll be getting a contract pretty soon to sign.
4,
Grant.
okay.
All right.
Anything else?
Nope. Nothing else.
Thanks, Mel.
You bet.
Thanks. Okay, Justin, Fairgrounds.
Morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Do you have my stuff for looking for it?
There's nothing submitted
There was nothing submitted.
last. That's
There you are.
I saw, yeah, I was gonna say, I saw.
Okay, so far to date, at the fairgrounds, we've had 43,480 in attendance. Looking at our revenue, we've brought in 62,637 and 49 cents. And our expenditures, 152,374 and 37 cents. And then after that's offset, that difference is offset by the CTF. Our difference is 75,878.41 expended from the county. The last month, we had car races on July 8th and 9th. Those went pretty good. Then it was that same weekend we did a national team roping out there, which is a big roping event that we get annually. Followed by a barrel race, 3-day barrel race that went good. Last weekend, we had the 4-H horse show go out there, which is technically part of the fair. They've just started to kind of do it the weekend before because it makes it a lot easier for them. But then now we are full swing into the fair. That kicked off Friday with the concert, which we got lots of rain. We thought the concert was going to be a muddy mess, but it actually ended up being not too bad. So they had a pretty good attendance. I don't know if anybody got to make it out there, but there was probably, I'd say, a good 500 people or so that was there at that concert, which is more than they've had the last couple of years, definitely. So very good to see. Saturday, they ended up having a barrel race, and that was able to run. We thought the arena might be a little bit too muddy, but we were able to get it worked up, and it wasn't too bad, so they did do their barrel race. And Sunday, they did their family gymkhana out there, and then now they're getting ready, doing a few little things, and then tomorrow, I believe, is when they start bringing in their animals. Or actually, tonight, I think it is. They start bringing in animals, so.
Shot rockets yesterday.
They were supposed to, but that got postponed
Oh, yeah?
to Wednesday, I believe.
Okay.
I think,
Darn.
so. Yeah, they've changed a couple things on their schedule just to.
Okay.
We'll be out there this afternoon,
Will you?
or today, or sometime.
Good, yep,
We'll meander out there and look around.
okay, cool.
I went to the dog show and there was twice as many people as there was last year.
Did you make it to that?
Yeah.
Really? Good, good. We're gonna finish that up throughout this next week, and that goes till Saturday is when they're gonna do their sale, so that's how long we got the fair left. After that, we got another set of car races coming in August 12th to the 13th. Same weekend, there'll be a commodity giveaway out there. And then we're looking at doing another country western dance in the Beef Barn on August 20th, which is something that was supposed to go about a month ago, and then it got postponed. August 26th to the 27th, we got their last set of car races scheduled for the season. And then September 4th, we're doing a concert for critters, and the reason that this is coming in on Labor Day, just to kind of give you guys a heads up, high school rodeo is generally Labor Day weekend. And the state board for the high school rodeo decided that they were no longer going to give our local chapter the high school rodeo every year. So they're only gonna let us have it 3 years here at our local chapter, and then every 4th year, they're gonna take it and go somewhere else. So this year, they decided to inform us that they were taking it away from us and sending it somewhere else, but we will have it the next 3 years. So with that, since we didn't get the high school rodeo in this year, which is a big revenue source for us, we were able to get a concert to come in, and I think she was in here earlier for an alcohol license, but they're supposed to have a comedian, Pam Stone, and then Little Texas, Haley Reinhart, and Levi Platero come in for singers. So we're excited to see how that works. I'm hoping it's a bang, bang deal. I don't know. Maybe it's something that we can do annually, or they'll look at doing annually, or I believe they're going to do it for a benefit for the animal shelter. So it is a good benefit. That's what we're looking at for September 4th. Now, with that being said, I do want to ask you guys a little bit on something that they want to bring in for that September 4th date. They did approach me and they said they wanted to try to have a tattoo person out there. That is something that I figure maybe we need to have your guys' input on and acceptance. I did reach out to the health department the state doesn't have any regulation for tattoo. And our Board of Health has not adopted one for the county, so our county doesn't currently regulate that, nor does the state. I don't have an issue with it at the fairgrounds, just as long as it's in an area that's clean and can be kept sterile in a spot such as that dining room area on the kitchen. You know, if it's somewhere in there, I'd be okay with it. And the health department did concur with that, but I wanted to kind of throw that in your guys' court and make sure that the county would be acceptable to something like that as well.
For the concert?
For the
same-
concert, yeah, it's for there, because they're wanting to
That
do kind of a pre-party sort of deal up there in the indoor arena, a VIP party per se. They're trying to pull some of the crowd, because they're doing a biker rally over in Durango or La Plata area. And they're trying to pull a lot of that crowd over. So this is something that maybe would kind of help, you know, those people come over and want to go to this concert and do things, you know, for their event. So
Have we restricted anything ever? As far as
The only thing we
as far
ever-
as it complies with all of the state and county guidelines?
not that I'm aware of, you know, as long as any events out there have applied or, you know, stayed with regulation as far as state and or local regulation, we have not restricted nothing that I know of. But it was one of those things that I don't think we've ever had anything like that out there before. So it's kind of, you know,
I don't think, I'm looking at Ian, I don't
So-
think anything.
Does the state license these people?
There's not regulations here in the county, and they leave it to the counties, is my understanding, and the health department hasn't really regulated this. You know, I think from a liability perspective, I'm not super worried about having a tattoo artist out there at this event. You know, at the same time, if you guys did want to restrict it, I think that you can. You know, I think that there are reasons that, you know, I could conceive of that the county might not want to have something like this on their grounds. But again, I think you're going to be fine if you allow it. It sounds like we don't restrict things generally, so you know, I think there's some leeway here. I think it's really in your guys' court. I'm not super concerned either way, from a liability perspective if we allow it, or you know, from a liability perspective if we decide to restrict it.
again, the only thing that we look at it, and it's like, you know, we don't want it out there in the dust and the dirt. So it's one of those things where if this is allowed and they are able to do it, you know, we're gonna make sure, hey, this has to be set up in an area which
Sure,
can stay
which
sterile.
I'm sure they're gonna
Yes.
do that anyway.
And
Yes.
away from the kitchen,
Do what?
away from the kitchen.
Yeah, so the kitchen has that petition.
Right.
So, and they're not using the kitchen for that event.
Okay.
Because they're just gonna bring in vendors that have their mobile units. So I was thinking maybe that little rodeo office, we call it, would be an ideal spot, for them to kind of set up. And, you know, as long as they do something like that.
I don't think
don't-
we've restricted it. I mean, it's not something that I would ever entertain. I have enough tattoos that the good Lord has given me from falling off of things and crushing into things, but it doesn't mean that, you know, that's a personal choice too, that other people may want to make that decision. And I don't think we've restricted anything
No.
like that, so I would not want to start restricting.
Okay.
I don't think it would be in our best interest, really.
No, and I also don't want something to happen out there and then they come back to you guys and say, why in the heck are we having, you know, tattoo artists out there at the fairgrounds?
I would
They're-
get,
So-
Do they
I
have
would get
any,
direction from the
is there
health
actually,
sorry,
I
Joe.
guess my concern is, I don't want some kid going out there and getting a tattoo and then going home and their folks are all over us
I think,
about it.
I think there is a regulation on that. They have to be,
Yeah.
I don't know, but they need
A
to follow
specific
it,
age,
as far as
yeah.
I'm concerned. I don't think we need to be,
I think,
I don't think that's a,
I think we could do that if you want to say, just let them know that we don't, you know, anybody that's over 16 or 18, what is the legal? I mean, it's hard to,
29.
I know it, and I don't know what they, I don't know what they have to concur with because.
68.
I'm sorry, I just don't think this is I can't imagine that's a drawing card to draw some.
I
people
can't
to the
either, but
fairgrounds.
here again, like I
just-
said,
It's just,
I would never entertain it myself, but it's not a,
I agree,
You're
and
more
I
of
mean,
an
it's
earring
not,
kind of guy?
no.
Oh.
I'm more of an, like I said, I've got my own markings that I've been given by the Lord. But it doesn't mean that that's not,
Yeah.
I guess, to be fair to everybody, we haven't put restrictions on everybody else. That it's a personal choice.
Correct.
And I believe in personal choice. If you're gonna make a decision that stays with you the rest of your life, you have to live with that, not me.
Can we get a
That's where I'm
discount
at.
from them for putting Montezuma County's emblem on somebody?
I don't know, I'll have to inquire
I
about
think
that.
we better stay away from that kind of thing.
Anyway,
think-
I would use the health department guidelines for
Okay.
this. I mean, you're
And-
dealing in a little
Yeah,
bit of
that's-
bloodborne pathogens, so,
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the main thing, is there is the possibility of some types of diseases or whatever
Right.
coming from this, just, if your equipment's not sterile, et cetera, et cetera. But we technically don't regulate it in the county or the state, so, it kind of puts a fine line, like, nobody's gonna go out there and check them and be like, this is what you need to be doing. So I guess that's kind of why.
Yeah, but there are arguments to be made with that
There
all
are.
day long out there. How many kids get thrown off a horse and have a bloody nose and run around? I mean, the attorneys could argue that all day and all night long. It comes down to a personal choice, and I don't want to.
Okay.
I agree with Commissioner Copenhaver as far as 29 would be the proper age to even try to make that choice. However, that's not within our choice to make that decision. I think just to be fair to everybody, as long as they're following all the guidelines, and
Okay.
but definitely make sure that that's brought to their attention, that we don't want any kid.
Nope, I agree. And it will be. And I do know they're using a professional that's
So, yeah.
been doing it for years, so.
I don't know, do we need to vote on that? I don't think we do we?
No, I don't think we need to vote on it.
Okay.
Okay. And that's pretty much all I have. We've just been busy with fair, so that's kind of been our forte these last couple of weeks, is getting prepped for that, and it's on, so. Unless you guys got any other questions for me, that's pretty much all I have for you.
I think, actually, the last thing I want to talk about, the fairgrounds, because I don't think we've given you any real clear direction on the suppression system,
Okay?
or have we?
No.
Because I don't
No,
think
the
we
last
have.
time we talked about it, it was just kind of something we were still gonna think about, whether we wanted to do a part of it or none of it, or,
So, obviously, and I think, to be able to do things 100% of the way is probably the proper and the best way. However, looking at a fiscal note of $350,000 to $750,000, I don't think that we could possibly ever chew that off at one point in time. So I think, just for discussion between us, I think the presentation that they brought forth to do the
that east side over there.
the
Yeah.
east side, because again, I think that if we do the fire watch, because there is a heavy fire load, like I said, during the gun show, I mean, that's a huge fire load in that building. But if they do the fire watch and we at least get the east side brought up to speed, I think then we're taking steps to fix the problem instead of just not addressing it at all. And I still struggle with, other than the special events out there, we're sprinkling dirt. I mean, I struggle with that. So
Well,
I
guess
think if
could
we,
just turn it on once in a while and water our dirt.
well, I think if we take care of where the life,
Yes.
safety issues really are, which would be in the occupancy of the upstairs and the downstairs and the
Kitchen
east side of
areas
the
and stuff,
building, I
yep.
think we're better off. So, we already have, it was already bid out.
Yep, that was
We've
bid
already
out.
looked at it. It's now a reduced cost of what was on the original bid. I mean, what do you guys think?
I think yes.
I think we need to move forward and give them actual clear direction of what to do.
Okay, and then if we do that east side, then we would still have to run a pipeline from the highway to the building
Yep.
for a dedicated line.
Yep.
And I'm not sure the total cost on that one.
And Montezuma
But-
Water Company was supposed to get back to you on that, right?
I know Dustin was talking with them, and I think the one quote they gave him was for 4-inch stuff, but I think we actually need 6-inch stuff.
Gotta be
So
6.
I think that one quote that he did have is probably gonna be a little off, because it's supposed to be 6-inch.
Okay.
So, but
So-
I'll get with them and,
So commissioners, what I would suggest is I think we ought to get a final plan on paper, on an agenda, and then have the board approve it, because this is a little bit different than the initial bid, as I understand it.
Well, this is 2 different bids. So the suppression system is gonna be energized by the water source that you currently have, which would be just the east side of the structure, correct? Is what Cooper's presentation with you in here that day, there was,
no, they'd still have to have a dedicated line to it from the road, giving us X amount of pressure and flow.
okay.
So it's not gonna work off of our current flow that we're getting to the building now.
So, okay, I get what you're saying. So
So-
you wanna add that
I would-
static line to that?
Yeah, I think that we need to get this on an agenda for a Tuesday and lay out exactly what it is that we're doing and what it is that we're approving, and then do it with the vote.
Well, then, can we do it, can Justin have that updated by next Monday, and we can look at it in our workshop? We know what the interior is gonna cost us. We've had that for several months now. We just don't know, because he did talk about a 4-inch line, and that's not,
Yeah, and the 4-inch
That's not
line is just not
adequate.
gonna be sufficient. So, I know Cooper, they kinda said that they were good with that bid price, so I know
Correct.
we're good on that. It's the Montezuma Water Company side that I am, got a big unclear on.
so they're just gonna change the pipe from 4-inch to 6-inch.
Yeah.
Everything else is the
And then the
same.
meter, I'm assuming the meter size changes at that rate, so I don't know what kind of costs we're looking at for that meter, and then, you know,
So can you get that done and on the agenda for next Monday?
okay.
And then that way we can make a final decision on it and move forward.
Got it.
Your elevator's still working well?
Yes. They tried it again the other day, and it was going up and down like it's supposed to, and so,
So
As
everybody
long
can
as
use
it's
it
not
out
going
there?
side to side, we're all right.
yeah.
Okay,
Nope, we're keeping it in our maintenance plan, so hopefully we'll keep that thing up.
all right. Also, too, the last thing that I have, it was brought to our attention that our Montezuma County sign up on the, over the bucking chutes or the,
The shoots on the
shoots?
south end, is what I heard.
Inside the arena or?
inside the
arena.
arena,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
You know, the tower?
The
not
crow's
tower,
nest?
Crow's nest
Gotcha.
up there.
Crow's nest. It should be the shiniest, best-looking sign out there, and right now it looks like the worst sign out there. So
Yeah,
please
I
get that
agree.
updated and taken care of.
I agree. We've been trying to play catch-up, so, all right. We'll take care of it.
All right,
All right, thank you, guys.
thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have our Southwest Water Conservation District discussion and actions regarding the Board of Directors appointment. So, I think Ian, it's appropriate
we
just
need
go
to-
ahead and,
Yeah, I think if somebody wants to make a motion regarding that appointment, I would suggest a motion to remove the current appointee, and then a motion to appoint, if somebody wants to make that motion and bring it forward.
I would so move that we remove the current appointee to Southwest Water Conservation District and appoint Gerald Copenhafer to the Southwest Water Conservation District seat.
and I will second it. Any discussion? Okay, it's been moved and seconded to remove our current Southwest Water Conservation District appointee and reappoint Commissioner Copenhaver as our designee to the Southwest Water Conservation District. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right. Rob,
You turn.
good morning.
Your turn.
You emptied
You
out the
turn, your
room.
turn, our turn. We turn.
Well, that was interesting. I'm glad I got to stay. I actually was more interested in Commissioner Copenhaver. Don't you remember when we were kids, you could go to the Legion and get one at the annual rodeo and carnival?
Yeah.
They were very good ones too, until your mother saw it.
Yeah,
Were
so
you
your
were you
mother
one of
saw
those
it.
little kids that ran
Just
home
right
and
at that
got,
line, you know?
got in trouble?
I don't have a tattoo. I'll tell you that.
At least it wasn't where his mother could see it.
Well, that's true too. But I'm glad I was scared of my mother, so I didn't get one of those things. You know? So-
Yeah. Back then, all of us were scared of our mother.
Well, I tell you, yeah.
All right, so go to the road department schedule for the month of August. These are the activities that, amongst the many we do, but these are the big ones, I guess. So beginning August 1st, we are doing some blading some roads with the rain. That's helped a lot. And then we get off the roads and we do a lot of shoulder mowing that Bonnie's, actually, she's doing a great job. And I compliment her on her program today. She is doing a good job out there. She's helped immensely on these shoulders. So we don't run near the man hours on these tractors that we used to have to do. But we do have areas that it's hard to keep up with too. So we're hitting those spots is what we're doing. And it's every district. It's from the Roundup clear over to Mancos and back and forth. It's just kind of scattered out. So we have to run the tractors a little bit, but not like we used to. So we'll do that through the month at different places and different times. We're also doing the forest Schedule A agreements with them now. We're full blown on that, and that should wrap up no later than the middle of the month. And that's our Schedule A blading that we do every year on all the forest roads.
I have a question on that.
Sure.
Going up the Dolores Snowwood Road on Saturday, do we do those blade asphalt patches?
They did. We did it for them, but they bought the asphalt. So,
Right,
Right.
but so we're doing it, because it was, where you stopped about mile marker, I don't know, 10, 11, something like
Right,
that.
right before the House Creek turnoff, somewhere in
Yep.
there. You're right in there.
It was much better.
Yeah. No, there's Band-Aids, and they jumped in with 6 loads of asphalt while we were doing some other roads. And so we got as far as we could get, but that's all they could afford, so we got them that far, you know, so. But it is, I haven't been up and looked at it. Is it, Junio said he thought it'd come out pretty good.
No, it did.
Yeah.
Trust me,
Yeah, I understand, yeah.
I wasn't
do.
driving all over the road.
I was hoping to just do even a little bit of what he got done, so I was quite surprised he made it that far. I just haven't had time to go up and drive it, but that's good. Glad to hear that. So anyway, he's up there blading all these roads above West Mancos, up above Dolores, all the Forest Service Schedule A roads. That's usually about a 3-week activity, and he's right on track. And the rain came right when we needed it. That really helps. That gets that ditches cleaned up and pulled up on the road where they can crown it again. So they're having a lot of luck this year. We put it off and put it off, waiting for rain, and then we got it. So that's going good. We're in the big hall for the YN16 DOLA project. We're coming out of Ormiston and maintaining that road. That's part of our agreement with the Forest Service, is to maintain that road while we're hauling out of Ormiston Pit. So we got a couple of water trucks and a off and on blade on it during this about 3 weeks, maybe I don't know, 15, 16 days is what we figured to get this done. And all accounts we're on schedule. We're maintaining a six truck average out of 7. So, you know, we got one down here and one down there once in a while, but we're keeping 6 average going. So we're having good success with that. So we should wrap up that haul and stuff by the 19th, and then we'll go into shaping, blading, getting it ready, and then we'll put mag chloride on it and hold it till September, and then start chip sealing in September on that project. So that's the big stuff, and then in between, there's just all these little things. We had a lot of flooding Thursday or Friday and Saturday. We had to go to Summit Ridge and take care of a lot of issues over there. And then Saturday, we got hammered at Pleasant View. We put a full crew out there hauling gravel and fixing culverts and digging out culverts, and it was just all the way from Road 20 all the way around to 10 and out beyond towards Cow Canyon project. So it was just a lot of work. They was out there about 11 hours Saturday trying to fix everything. So just got hammered. So So we got it put together, again, Band-Aided, so we can get back to hauling gravel this morning, and then we'll turn right back around and go back out there and dig out the culverts. We got rocks in and trash we gotta get out of them, and so if we don't get big rains, we'll be all right. We got everything functioning again, but we got a lot of work to do later this month, so, after we get the gravel hauled. So that's the activities for August. Any questions on those? Okay.
You know, nothing really on that. We had a lady in here yesterday with the youth corps. You use any of those kids? Do they?
No, I haven't never
Okay.
been asked to, or I didn't even think about it, to be honest with you. We've always been pretty good about picking up high school kids in the summer, maybe 3 or 4 of them kids, and put them on mowers and potholes and just do the general labor type maintenance. But I just kind of ran out of kids. The friends that I had in the high school are gone or whatever, and then their fathers, all their kids are grown up now, going on to college, and I just haven't had a fresh class of them yet, but we try to do that.
Go down to the high school, do any of those, prior to when they get out of school, they do I can't.
Career thing?
It's a career.
Job
a
shadow.
Career fair.
I don't want them to learn how to be a county laborer. I want them to go to college, but I will offer it to them if they
Well,
come
it's
talk to me.
just-
Yeah, applications come
Yeah.
filling out, learn from the beginning. You gotta do an application, you gotta do interviews, you gotta do the whole thing.
Sure.
And then-
It's actually a good job skill, and it gives them,
Yeah, but I want them to
Couple
go to college.
months.
I don't want them to learn how to be a.
no, and that's not the point. I'm just saying that this is a summer job to help you while you're going to college. I
I've
think
had
that's
some
the
good kids, too.
emphasis.
Yep. So-
Somewhat like what she was presenting yesterday. It's a skill that you're going to learn that you will use sometime in your life.
Something about it they'll use, absolutely. So no, I don't need them right now. We're done for the year, but, I would be very interested next year. I'd like to
Good.
talk to these people.
I think that program, though, doesn't it more contemplate like crews that do
I think
work
that is
as a?
I think so.
Yeah.
observation.
That's, Rob's bunch came to mind when she was talking about it. I know we had that opportunity through that bunch we seen up in CCI meeting in November.
Oh, okay. Well, I've done it.
And they can
It's
get
just I
college
ran out of
credits
boys
for it.
For
Yeah.
now. There'll be somebody come along, but this might be an answer, Sheriff and I have tried to use, prisoners, or whatever you want to call them, those gentlemen in there, but it takes a lot of effort on the sheriff's department to put that together too. Nowadays, it's not like take them out and make them mow the grass once a day now. It's a lot more detailed, and that
Right.
didn't work out real well, so. You have to have too
That
much
was-
security, too much guards with all that now, so.
Rob,
So this
what-
idea would be good, yeah, so.
Well, they can't do that anymore anyway.
Is that right? Okay.
No.
Yeah, so,
They can't even do that. Even if the prisoners volunteer, they can't do it. I
is
don't
that right?
think.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they made a state law that you can't do it.
I think the career fair might be
That'd be a better deal.
Might be a good position to help a junior or senior work through the summer to get, because they're all gonna need money to go to college.
They do, and a lot of those boys that we had were sophomores, 16. We required them to be 16 so they could drive pickup to go get
Yeah.
potholes, obviously. And then my rule was, you work in the summer, if you wanna come back next year as a junior and a senior, I'll work with you. But the day you're no longer in school is the day you better go find a career. If you
Yeah.
wanna use your training here to go be a construction or go to college.
Sure.
And then if you're in college, you can come back again and you can work in between. And I kept several of them boys around 5 or 6 years by doing
Sure.
that. Well, by the time they were done in 5 years, they were not doing potholes very much. They might run through and do them real quick, but they were put on mowers and tractors, and they were moving up the skill level quite rapidly. But there was always a freshman coming in, that he could do the potholes, and that
Right.
worked good for 5, 6 years, And then I ran out of kids. So, anyway, and the vice principal at the high school, she's asked me before about that stuff too, and we just never could get connected to perform or to provide it that way, but I'm sure she'll be asking again, and we'll get something together, so. Anyway, we do work at it, we try, so.
Good.
We do, and you'll see on our budget presentation that we have temporary help budgeted, and that's what that is, So anyway, that's it on that. The other stuff I wanted to talk to you about this morning is the McElmo slide, or how does Bonnie say it, McElmo? She had a different way of saying that, yeah. So, McElmo, anyway, we've been monitoring these wells down there for about 3 years now, maybe, I guess, and
2019.
yeah, so you can see, it's hard to read on the bottom, but you can see the negative elevation that we've come from. We're down 14 foot, 14, 12, and 13, 15 when they were plus, when we put the wells in. So, as you can see on the graph, we steadily came down, flattened out, and pretty much for the last 2 years have maintained stability in that slope down there, in that slide. The plan is still to go in this fall and get started on that. And the biggest reason I've kind of put it on hold now is the water level in McCalmo Creek is pretty high due to the irrigation season, and we would like to see that come down, because we're gonna have to do a detour or bypass around the main channel to put this rock in. So I'm kind of like, everybody chill for a minute. Let's get into September-ish, October-ish timeframe where we get a little help from that since it's stable, and then try and get in there and get this done this fall.
The water really won't stop until after October, though,
It's
will
pretty
it?
late down there. It's just the residual water still coming in. Even when the irrigation, MVI shuts theirs down, we still got, what would you
Right.
say, 20 days of water that's still seeping in, you know?
Mhm.
But
So-
it does start dropping pretty quickly, you know,
Right.
to something we can work with. So right now, our engineering firm that helped us design all this, they're still working through the environmental issues, permits, tribal issues, and getting them signed up, and it's a process. It's just, I mean, they're doing good work, and everybody's working to get this done. It's just a process of paperwork and get it all going. So I don't think, and Women Ooch has assured me they're very interested in helping us with some of the bigger activities. It's their lands, their tribal lands, and they want to work with us. So they're busy right now too. So we all just kind of said, let's let the environmental issues get ironed out. Let's get this thing ready to go, and then we'll try to tackle this fall, you know, as soon as we can get in there.
Late fall, yeah. when
And then
water
the plan
gets
is to divert the channel, go in and put big riprap on the bottom section underneath the bank, cut in, wedge it in, and then slowly backfill up with drainages and 3-inch minus rock, and then cap it with some other stuff. So we've got to get right down in that creek to do all this, and it gets pretty sensitive at that area, at that point. So we're still working on it and hoping to do that in, October or somewhere before it starts getting really bad, so. We mentioned it yesterday in our workshop that we have chosen to forego on the bid applications or bid documents on the Alkali Creek Bridge and put it out for rebid. Our plan is to do that in late October. We'd like to accept the bids in late December and be contracted out and ready to go to work by 15th of March. So that gives our contractors out there that are interested in this project the right time of year to have their estimating team on it and looking at their schedules and their employees and their materials, and give them more time to develop some hopefully good bids. You know, a little more competition always helps, and that's what we've decided to do now. So we'll take it from there and go let everybody know this week or early next week. So.
Okay.
Rain damage last week is, like I said, up at Summit Ridge was minimal. We did have a lot of culverts plugged and the water washed over the roads, but didn't take the shoulders out. But not true out at Pleasant View and northern Yellow Jacket. It was taking roads out. It was coming so fast and hard at us that we just had to fall in behind it and start rebuilding roads and unplugging culverts. And don't want to say hope it didn't rain, but at least give us a day to fix things before it started again. So we're in pretty good shape now, and I think it'll hold up. We are forecasting more rain starting Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for about 5 days. Love the rain, just hope it don't all come down at one time at one spot, you know. So, but we did do a lot of work out there last Saturday. Scheduled to start paint striping tomorrow on Road 29 and 31. Those are the paved roads that we did the chip seal project on. So he'll be here tomorrow to do those. And then we're gonna go ahead and put a yellow line down Road H from 27 all the way to the end. That's 3 miles. It's been a couple of years since we chip sealed, so we wanna put a center stripe down it. Get that all done tomorrow.
And you will catch M.
Pardon me?
M?
No, H.
I know, but you will catch M also?
Not on this round. I'm out of money.
Not on this round?
No. So, but H is a good one in the center, and M too. I mean, don't take me wrong, M could use it too. But I just don't have it in the budget this year. Those 3 big ones were a pretty big paint job, so.
Okay.
Yeah. And the other thing too, Commissioner, is paint's tight. Getting it
No, I know.
We had to do that in March of last
I
year.
heard that,
you know?
yeah, you can't get paint.
So they got all about the paint they can get until that supply line frees up again. So we're limited to the miles we can do this year anyway, so. And then, there's a paint company working for CDOT, and they are going to use our yard for about a week to, stage equipment and stuff over here in this area. And I said, sure, we'll put you in that new section over there south of the old shop building there, so they'll be in next week sometime to use our yard to work out of for about a week, so. That's about it.
Okay. Now we have our unfinished business discussion. So we actually discussed Road S and Road F yesterday in our workshop. That was part of our discussion that we had, along with two other items. So gentlemen, today we make decisions, and I think we had discussed this. Do you have any other conversations or comments?
Discussed. I think we can do both of these at the same, back to back. Start on Road S up there, move down there and get Road F squared away.
You don't have was it 2 years ago we did all that heavy rock moving and everything on S Road around that?
S is shovel ready.
That one's
Yeah.
ready.
Yeah.
We don't have really anything to do.
Blade it.
Well, unless the rains.
Yeah, we need to blade all,
Blade it,
well,
but-
other than chip seal that's already
Yeah.
there, but we need to blade it, shape it, crown it, do whatever we need to do to get smooth, but it's shovel ready.
Right.
And then schedule a time with a paving contractor that can meet our demands before winter sets in.
Sure, which if we do it now, we probably can get them in there by the end of
Yeah, I'll go out
November.
and get some bids and we'll get some honest numbers. I think they're all honest estimates. I think they're doing their best to give us our best number to work with, but competition always changes a little bit, so.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I agree. I think taking care of the safety issue that we have down there is, it was a good point, Rob. You brought up a good point, and driving that again, I look at that and I'm like, dang. It really does move that traffic right into that
It does. It does.
ongoing lane, and people think it's a merge lane, and it's gonna,
Well, we're used to driving in merge lanes now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's fast and you got a safety zone to run down to drift
yeah.
in, you know.
So I think, definitely there's money in that reserve account, and I agree. I don't want to lose that DOA money, and I don't want to lose what the city of Cortez is willing to put in to help us out. So I think I agree with Commissioner Lindsay. I think we should go ahead and get them both done.
So the only thing that's left to do is I've got to get some honest numbers on F. These are just WAG numbers.
Right.
Okay.
I'll
Right, I
get that
understand
settled
that.
in. But I did go ahead and put that rural school over onto F column, and it changed it $30,000 from taking the funds away back over to the fleet fund back to us. But we're still 300 and some $1,000 short, so, I mean, you said there was more in after the audit. I don't know where it's at, but.
Well,
I
it was, it's out of the reserves. It would come out of the reserve.
Yeah, I
fund.
haven't seen anything new to our reserve, so you must be seeing something I'm not seeing, so I don't know, so.
Well,
All
yeah,
right,
we
please,
can
yeah,
we
come
can
see
go
me.
over it because that was gone over with this last
Right.
Thursday. But those are two roads that, because of the safety issues that now
Presents
are
itself.
present, then
Is,
I would agree, we need to get them done.
when was the last time we did a traffic count down there? You know,
I don't have anything current in my.
it
book.
used to be the #1 traveled road in the
Oh,
county.
Road G is,
Yeah.
yeah, I wouldn't argue that. Yeah, I don't know how many turn south on F. I do know what G is.
Right.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, which is where the issue is gonna take place, are the people that are not, that are coming down G or just coming down G at probably 60 miles an hour.
I'm not going there because I don't know anything on that.
Well, they're supposed to be going 40,
I
but
know what they're
they are
supposed to
not
do,
going
yeah.
40, I will assure you, and that's,
Speed limit's 50 there.
It's 50 down there.
It's
Yeah.
50 miles an hour.
okay,
there.
well, see, that even increases the danger even worse.
60 just went to 70,
So
Right
they're
there.
doing 60,
Yeah.
at least.
at least.
Because right there, when you turn off the highway, we changed that speed limit back when I was a commissioner before, because it used to be 40, and that straight stretch down through there, the,
Till they get to 21 road, they're doing 70.
yeah, well, we actually changed that because the state patrol would sit down there just waiting for people, and they were just stopping people constantly on the
Oh.
road, so we changed it up to 50 miles an hour, because we had a lot of people complaining about it, and so we moved it up to 50 miles an hour.
I tried to
And the
get away
reason
with
we
that
did
on
it was
Road
'cause
25 and
just
they
sat
wouldn't
down
let
there
me.
on that road and just picking people off to no end. And I'm not saying they were, people were not very happy because they thought they were just picking on them there, and the speed was so easy to go over 40 miles an hour. So
Well,
that's why it got changed.
It's
I can tell
definitely
you
easy to
that
go
right
over
now.
40, it's definitely easy to go over 50.
Yeah,
Because that's
and Mr. Copenaver's right. That is an open stretch with minimal amount of dogs, cats, horses, kids, you know?
Yeah, there's nothing.
And not a lot of driveways. So it was really easy to not understand why I'm getting a ticket at 50. When we
Sure.
paved Road 25 all the way up to P or up in that part of the world that first year, they were making a living off of that road for a while.
Yeah.
And I asked them, do you want me to bump that up to say 50? Don't you even think about it. Because you got dogs, kids, and weeds and trash and all this stuff up through there, just blind vision. And I agreed with them. I said, I agree. Thank you for not requesting us to do something to adjust that one. 40 is a good one on a public road with that much, you know.
Well, yeah, when you have that many houses
Absolutely.
and stuff there, it's
Absolutely.
totally different than
Horses and
that
kids
down
and
there,
pets.
though,
and
and
it's- Yep. So,
that's the thing.
Yep.
It might be good to see though, Rob, if you do get the opportunity to get a new count.
Yeah, I'll
An
get
updated
Shane to
count
put that
just
out there.
to-
We haven't done one for a while, but G has done, you know, we have a record of it, but not F. We never really paid much attention on that one. I mean, it was into the industrial zone, it was almost there to there. You didn't have many, not even a mile to get up to full
Yeah.
speed, you know, so it wasn't really on our mind, you know, so.
Yeah.
Anyway,
All right.
but I'll get some prices and quotes, and let's get some hard numbers put together for the F project, and then, I'll send out some, bid documents to Elam and, Four Corners, and let them both bid it under the same premises and the same plan, and then we'll get square with them, and we'll do the same thing up on Road S. We'll make them be honest with two different contractors.
Yep.
Get that going.
And get them both done at the same time, that'd be perfect.
Oh, man, that'd be great if they'd come over, or whichever one would come do it, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I do need a signature for the new gym on this DOLA application thing. This just tells DOLA that you're.
Oh, for that 97,000?
For that
Go ahead and use that
transfer
forward.
over.
Move we approve grant award number 9341 with the Department of Local Affairs, the amount of $97,000.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve grant award number 9341 with the Department of Local Affairs in the amount of $97,000 to our county road department. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You need them both?
Okay, that's
All right.
all I got, gentlemen.
That's it?
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, how's all your equipment running?
Well, it's the sad state of affairs, isn't it? It's tough right now. It's
It
tough
is.
getting parts. It's tough getting things, you know, and trucks are just a constant battle. And blades are good because we carry pretty good blades, but, you know, there's other things like rollers and all that stuff. It's tough to keep them all running. That shop's putting in a lot of hours out there with a lot of full bays all the time, so just time. We lost a Fruitland pump here the other day on one of the water trucks, and we weren't sure if we was gonna get another one. And we finally found one. He has to search for days just to find one. These are the water truck tank, or pumps in big Fruitlands.
Yeah.
And they're about 6,000 a piece, and so just getting parts to fix them are hard to do. Now you're almost down to just buying new ones because you can't get the parts to fix the old ones. So it's tough, yeah, which I'm sure you know all this. So, yeah, so anyway, that's it. Equipment's
right.
doing fine.
Good.
You still have that old milk truck that they used to have, that milk tanker?
That was way before my time.
Okay, never mind then.
No, it's gone.
That's kind of like that tattoo, you know?
It was 10,000 gallons a week all around, you know?
No, I wasn't around here for that one. The guys talk about it once in a while, but I wasn't here for that one, so. Anyway.
It came in handy.
Dolores County uses them.
Yeah.
They have to haul water so far. It pays dividends for them, yeah, so. Yep, so. Oh, we got kicked out of the beach area down at the Bradfield Bridge too. We can't load water out of there no more. We found out that belongs to the BLM, so,
Oh,
that wasn't expected, so we had to make some changes and called Steve at Dolores County, and he had a little loading pad there right off the bridge that he let us use, but we can't mess with it because it's under BLM's jurisdiction. So we had to make some changes out there. We can still get water out of the river, we just can't use their land to load off of, so. So that helped, that slowed us down for a day, but we got sorted out there, and Steve gave us the right, or permission to go on our pad and load from there, so. But we did have to give up the beach. We've had that beach for years and years and years, and recreational and boats and all that finally won, so. It's kinda like goodbye beach. So anyway, that's the latest I got. So,
All right.
okay, see ya.
Thanks, Rob.
Mhm.
All right, the last thing we have on our unfinished business is the discussion that we had also yesterday that Mancus had proposed to us for the senior center, the commitment that they were asking for us to keep the senior center open, and basically to make the commitment to keep the senior center open. If I misstate this, they were willing to put $20,000 up front because basically their costs for the senior center in Mancus were $44,000 annually, and with the current lack of funding that we were shorted $75,000 or a 38% decrease in our funding, it was brought to our attention that the funding in Dolores and Mancus may have to be cut. This commission, I think I can speak for all of us, is definitely not wanting to take away or cut that funding. We'll have to just figure out a different route. So basically, Mancus board, which they'll have to decide in a board meeting, but they basically wanted a commitment from us that we would be able to keep this senior center open if they would move forward with putting that $20,000 up front for the Mancus Senior Center. So any
No, I think we're pretty well set to do that.
questions or comments? So I think, Ian, is all we have to do is do this today, decision-making to say that we will make the commitment. Obviously, it's just for the 2022-23 year because their budget runs from July to June to keep it open for this fiscal year.
Yeah, I would be very careful to specify exactly when we're committing to keeping it open until, and so, sounded like June of 2023 was my understanding yesterday.
Correct. Well, so
Yeah.
it's just this fiscal year,
Yep.
because we can't commit any further out because we don't know what the funding may or may not be. Is that how you guys?
Yes, that's how I took it.
Okay. All right.
I would so move that we make the commitment to keep the Mancus Senior Center open through the 2022-23 fiscal year.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to make the commitment to the Mancus Senior Center and then get this to Mancus, that we will keep the Mancus Senior Center open for the fiscal year 22-23.
And commissioners, just for clarification, are you making that commitment contingent on receiving that money from the town of Mancus?
Yes.
Yes.
I would include that.
With contingent upon receiving the $20,000 upfront money from Mancus. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, moving right along. Ian, report.
We were set for a contempt hearing in the Charles Fish land use matter. This Friday, the court had a conflict come up, so they bumped it out a week, so now we're set for the 12th of this month for that hearing. We've got a setting to set our Ellis Lewis land use matter for trial. We're going to set that for trial on the 11th of this month, and I'm not sure how far backed up the court is at this point. Generally, those trials are set out a little ways, and so I would anticipate that case is probably not going to be set till late September, maybe October, but we'll see what the court's schedule looks like. Those are the biggest things that I have to update at this point.
Okay. So you know the one? Okay. All right. I see James Dietrich stepped in. Come on down. We'll go to the natural resource.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
And ladies. First thing I want to kind of give everybody an update on is where we're at with Pasta Mesa Verde. So I met with town of Mancus last week. So on that side, we've got a couple of locations where we feel like we need to probably enter into some right-of-way negotiations with private landowners. They're adjacent to the highway right-of-way. The amount of right-of-way that we would be seeking is a pretty minimal amount, and the purpose is really just to help us meet the gradients. It's pretty steep along the edge of that trail through there, along the edge of the highway. So the purpose would be to meet the gradients so that we can, achieve our ADA compliance. But the other objective of that is really to kind of reduce the amount of retaining walls that we might need. And so it would be a significant cost savings in terms of the construction on that. So I'm working with the town of Mancos on how we're going to, go about achieving those right-of-ways. It will be a situation where we are going to have to use a CDOT certified right-of-way negotiator. So I've got a name in mind, and we'll make a contact to that individual, see if they are available and willing to entertain working with us on that. We currently do not have a right-of-way negotiator, even though it was a part of our original team. That individual is retired, so we're in a position where we have to look for a new one. That will be something that we'll need on the Cortez side also, so hopefully we can build that relationship and roll them into the team on the Cortez side also. The other piece that I talked with Heather about is the benefit cost analysis, and that is something that Heather has applied for a DOLA grant on. She received the DOLA grant, but that was at 50% of the funding. And so we're going to have to look at where we come up with the other remaining 50%. Since this has been a three-way partnership with the city of Cortez, the county, and the town of Mancos, what I'm kind of angling in on is approaching the city and see if we can split this up three ways, since we all are partners, and really doing the BCA for the entire trail is what we really need. And the other thought on this is I'm going to try to look into our outdoor recreation grant and see if we can handle this under the outdoor recreation grant. If that is a possibility, we may be able to use that DOLA money for part of the match then on that grant. So I'll continue to try to ferret out a path forward on that, but that is something that's, it's a complication, nothing that we can't handle. We'll figure the way forward on that one. The right-of-way acquisitions, that one's a little more difficult, but again, we'll keep trying to figure out how we tie this to other pieces of that trail. One thought that I've got is because we need right-of-way on the Cortez side, and it's all one trail, I'm making the argument that for the work on the Cortez side, that perhaps we can use that right-of-way analysis to go back over to the Mancos side. There's been some pushback on that because our funders kind of view this as individual little projects. And again, I'm trying to make the point that all these individual projects are for one trail, so it's really not a separate project. Again, there's some pushback within the agency. These are things they haven't heard before, so we'll try to negotiate forward on that. But as of right now, I think everything is going pretty good, especially on the Mancos side. We've got things set up. We have not got the contracts for the MMOF funding that have come through yet. So at this point, we haven't been able to advance anything more on the Cortez side, except for the work that is being done on segment B, fairgrounds to the Mesa Verde entrance. So that work is continuing forward. The idea would be to try to just roll the work that's being done on that section into segment A, and that way we don't have to go out and find a new consultant or anything like that. We should be able to just continue with the one that we've got. And so far the state, everybody else has given us the okay on that. Everything's looking really good. The other thing I wanted to give the commissioners an update on was the CWPP, the Community Wildfire Protection Plan. I think I've finally worked through the final draft on that. I believe that Jim Spratlin has sent that around to the commissioners, hopefully. But minus a few minor changes that have come from Colorado State, who is one of the signatories on this, so I'm really kind of trying to address the changes that they've requested. I'll get those finished, and then I think this final draft is ready to go. So we're finally got that. I think we're going to finally be able to cap that thing off. And then I want to let the commissioners know about the BLM planning processes that are underway, and I think everyone is aware that we've got two of those underway. We've got the Gunnison Sage Grouse, and then we also have the big game corridors. So what we have currently is a draft MOU, and I've ran this past Ian, and I'll let Ian address that. I don't think you found anything that was...
No, I'm comfortable with the language in it, Jim.
Okay, okay. And I reviewed it too. I kind of felt the same way about it. where the BLM has left this is that they said we can go ahead and sign this draft if we choose to do so, and we can do that today if we want to. Otherwise, the BLM will be in next week to visit with commissioners, and we can handle it next week. So that would just be up to the commissioners how they'd like to handle that.
I'd like to get it on the agenda as an actual agenda item next week, if that, I think that's the best way to do that.
Yeah, and
That's
I don't
great.
think waiting 1 week, especially if they're supposed to be in here, that doesn't hurt. 1 week doesn't hurt, does it?
No, certainly does not.
Okay.
No. Okay, that's good. I did want to kind of elaborate a little bit on that one and kind of let you all know, I mean, I think we all kind of know why it's important to stay engaged on that anyway. But a few things that are happening. First of all, we're in the 45-day comment period, the scoping period for the Gunnison sage grouse. And with a scoping period, we can provide input on that, although we still retain our status even if we don't give input at the scoping stage. The next stage, we do have to give input to maintain our status. So, but a couple of the things that to me are a little bit troublesome, when they start talking about the management direction and actions to conserve and enhance occupied and unoccupied habitat in the BLM RMPs across the current known range of the species. We've got a fair amount of ground up there in the northern part of this county that's identified as unoccupied range. So that's one thing. And unoccupied range comes with some stipulations attached to it, because it is a threatened species. That also carries some implications onto private landowners. In particular, where I see there's a nexus is that the BLM Resource Management Plan for Can-Am specifically states that they will work with CDOW in order to reintroduce bighorn sheep and Gunnison sage grouse. So they've stated in their resource management plan and in a couple of places where the intention is to reintroduce sage grouse at Can-Am. So the spillover from that would be that we've got concerns with the grazing issues out there. Oil and gas is obviously going to be a target. But then the other piece of that is that it spills over from the BLM land actually over to private land wherever we have a split estate situation. So, in particular, I can see that impacting our fluid minerals in particular. Of course, I've got some concerns about the grazing also. That's something that I think is going to complicate our situation with reissuing permits out there. It'll be a new thing that we have to consider on every one of those permits. So I have some concerns about that. And I feel like we do need to stay engaged for sure on this one. I think that I would have similar comments with the big game corridors. I think that, there's going to be an effort to kind of stretch across public land boundaries over into private lands. Every time there's an opportunity for that, and the split estates create that opportunity. So it's something I think we need to also be remain engaged with. And then I guess the last item I've got is I spoke with Derek Padilla. I think the Forest Service is inclined to take a pass at our meeting next week. However, they also said that if we have any discussions that we would like to engage in, especially regarding Dolores Norwood Road or anything else, to let him know, and they would make an effort to be here. So I guess that's just a question for the commissioners today. Is there anything beyond Dolores Norwood Road that we may need to discuss with the Forest Service?
That is probably the biggest discussion because that road is I'm going to say probably the most traveled. I don't know about 41, Gerald, in your area, but it's probably the most traveled with the logging industry. And I guess that's my biggest concern of what they're pulling off of there. If that road, the degradation on that road, if it gets, although like I told Rob this morning, it was better this weekend, but if it continues to deteriorate, specifically with all of the funding that the classes that Commissioner Copenhagen and I were in last week at NACO, it sounds like we have a better opportunity to receive that type of funding to get the work done other than the Forest Service themselves. And that's my biggest concern is like, I know it's under a different agreement, and I get all that, but, you know, I look at the Schedule A agreement, we're up there doing all that work right now. Now, obviously, it's just for whatever they can put as far as material on the road, but if we don't get aggressive, the road's gonna continue to deteriorate, and if it deteriorates in the logging industry, the cattle industry, everything that we go up and down that road, and I was sending text back, you know, to people here, Rob, you know, we talked about it yesterday. I think we really need to look at it, so I know he probably wants to take a pass, but you guys want to bring him in, or?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Okay.
I think that's something that we can do at any given time. I think it's
Okay.
just a matter of looking at this and seeing really where that grant funding is gonna be to do that 7 mile or 8, I don't know what it is, 8
Right.
miles.
Yeah, it does seem like it sets us up, you know, in particular for the flap funding, which is, you know, designed for those
Which
type of
is-
roads and these type of situations, so.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll let Derek know then that, you know, if he has a conflict and can't make it, to not feel bad about it. We'll
Yep.
just catch up the following month.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, sounds good.
Okay, gentlemen, I think that's about all I've got for the day, unless you all have something for me.
No, appreciate it.
Okay? All right,
Thank
thank you,
you.
gentlemen.
Okay, County Administrator, Mr. Anderson.
So, the last couple of weeks have been pretty busy, but just to highlight a couple other things, got to meet with Drew at the city of Cortez. Talked about some of the issues that we're all facing and how we can collaborate, particularly as it relates to financing. Obviously, we're working in conjunction on the airport road. A big contention is the southern gateway to Cortez and the blight, and how we're going to be able to address that through economic development. We're good on our audit reporting, so we got a return receipt back from the state, so hopefully next year, or they won't respond and ask where it's at. So the rodeo ground concert, they're expecting around 5,000 people to show up. I'm not sure if that is an accurate number, but that's their expectations. So we have developed in the stakeholders meeting to address emergency management aspects, start working with the fire department on their criteria for their ISOs, is my understanding, law enforcement, and if something was to happen, how to get that amount of people out. So we're going to have a whole bunch of meetings, and we're going to CC you to be part of that so that you're in the loop. Attended a budget workshop through CCI. That was really good information via the web. And another thing the commissioners ought to know is the Leadership Montezuma has kicked back off. It was a well-attended meeting. I'm going to assume maybe 60 to 70 people attended of leaders within the community. It's different. It's a 3-tier program now. They've got leadership, and the second tier is education, and then networking. So Spratlin, myself, and Vicky all attended. We took a different portion to get a global picture of what this program's going to be about. And it sounds like myself and Jim are going to be part of that Leadership Montezuma. That's all I have.
All right, very good.
Thank you.
Any questions for Travis?
No.
Okay. All right, Commissioners report. Commissioner Copenhafer.
This last week, I attended the Mancus Days in Mancus. There was pretty good turnout. Some of the storms kind of kept some people away to some degree, but there was a good turnout Saturday morning for the parade and stuff, and there was a lot of attendance in the parade and spectators both. I attended the town meeting in Mancus Wednesday night. They were approached by 3 gentlemen that were interested in buying part of the airport property above, I call it the airport property up above Mancus. It's where we have our gravel pit up there, and they approaching the town about buying part of that property to start a housing manufacturing business on. They were in question about whether they could actually sell that property or not, so they had to check on some legal complications before they could make any kind of decision or not, but something was interesting that if they were gonna get because these three gentlemen are definitely looking for someplace to build their facility to do this project, so. And I think they have the investors committed to going ahead with their project, so it's sounded real promising as far as them getting something done, and they're hopefully moving forward if they find a place. If they don't get something where they're just really interested in that property there. So that's about all I have, I guess.
Okay, very good. Commissioner Lindsey.
Yes, I didn't attend the Cortez meeting, but I did YouTube in to watch Cortez. They had some public input that was very interesting. Thank you, Susan. And they also reported that the South Sligo Street refurbishment is just about done, and the North Mildred project is well underway, and they didn't give an idea when it would be done yet. And Sunday, I went out to the fair, watched the dog show. It had about 2 or 3 times as many people as they did last year, so things are looking up. And also, it is Fair Week. Anybody out there wants to go to fair, I encourage you to go out there. It looks like they've got quite a lineup and a pretty good number of kids in the sale. Also, there's a balloon rally going on, and I think the Tri-State Firefighter Convention is going on in Dolores, I think. But don't hold me to that. And that's about all I have.
End of July, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Well, I was, first of all, like to echo the same thing Commissioner Lindsey just said, that the fair is going on. If you don't have anything to do, run out there, support the fair, support the kids, support what they do. We will be out there this afternoon, just kind of wandering around a little bit. Anyway, I spent all last week driving across the country, and it's really amazing to see the difference of, between the East Coast and the West Coast, and how much is produced out there compared to us, and just the climate of the humidity, and seeing these cornfields of 5-6 foot tall, and there's not a sprinkler system one. I mean, it's amazing. But you get closer to home and you start seeing all the irrigation systems, and I dropped down through La Junta, that area, East Colorado, and I'll tell you, that is a desolate, there's really, I saw a snake on the side of the road, and he popped up and he had a sign and it said anywhere but here. He was hitchhiking, so kind of had to pick him up. But it's pretty interesting to drive across the country. Monday we had our workshop, which we've discussed mostly today, our Road S, Road F projects. We had a presentation from Teresa DeTore from the Southwest Conservation Corp. And then again, our discussion over the Memphis Senior Center, and that's all that I have. All right.
All right. I would so move we adjourn this meeting.
Okay.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we adjourn this August 2nd meeting, 2022. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.